Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my video. Just want to give you a quick diagnosis and fix if you guys have a no crank, no start on your vehicle or stalling issues. And this diagnosis is essentially about the crankshaft position sensor. It's one of those things that's in virtually all vehicles, all modern vehicles, and it's one of the management components of the combustion engine. What it does is it pretty much monitors the position and speed of the crankshaft and pretty much sends that info to the ECU, which is the car's computer, so that the car's computer can make adjustments based on operating conditions. The crankshaft speed and positions are some of the most important parameters used in engine management calculations, and most engines can't run without it and without an accurate signal. So let's talk about uh, what can be linked to issues with the crankshaft position sensor. If you guys have any issues with that, you could cause uh, overheating engine. The excessive buildup of heat in engine can lead to crankshaft position sensor damage by melting the plastic covering, and you might have circuitry problems which could cause that sensor to have issues with faulty voltage or loose worn out. Damaged wiring can disrupt the signal sent to and from the crankshaft position sensor, causing it to have issues. In most cases, what you're going to do in those two circumstances are you're going to have to change out either the crankshaft position sensor, and most of the time you're going to have to change that sensor out. Obviously, if it's damaged, obviously if there's any kind of short in the system, or wires loose or something like that, you might not have to change the sensor itself out, but you might have to change the socket or the plug or the wiring. But in most cases, you're gonna have to change the sensor out. So if you guys have issues with the sensor, check engine light, a code for the sensor itself, you pretty much want to change it up as soon as possible, because not only will it cause a no crank no start issue, but it could actually cause long-term damage and expensive repairs. So here's pretty much what happens if your crankshaft position sensor goes bad. You're going to have issues starting your car. You're going to have a no crank no start position condition. If the crankshaft position sensor is having issues, your car might have intermittent starting issues, or it might not start at all. You could also have stalling issues. Essentially, it can cause the signal. A bad crankshaft position sensor can cause the crankshaft signal to be cut off while the engine is running, which can essentially cause your car to stall. And if this is the issue, normally this is more of a wiring problem than it is the problem with the crankshaft position sensor. But it could also be a crankshaft position sensor that's malfunctioning. You're going to have obviously a check engine light that comes on. You guys have a check engine light that comes on, definitely that's going to be your best bet as far as trying to figure out whether it's the crankshaft position sensor that's causing your issue or not, because it's going to throw a direct code for the crankshaft position sensor. And the crankshaft position sensor does have a specific code for any issues that might exist with the sensor itself. You might have uneven acceleration, and that's pretty much because a bad signal or no signal from the crankshaft position sensor can slow or accelerate and the lack of accuracy of the signal can make it difficult for the car computer to maintain a constant readout, um, and essentially mismanages the speed of the car, of the engine. You might have engine misfires or vibration. If you feel or hear a brief stutter in the engine, it could be a sign of misfire cylinders from bad crankshaft position sensor. A failing crankshaft position can not provide the right information about piston positioning in the engine, causing a cylinder to misfire, which could also occur from faulty spark plug timing. But if the spark plug checks out, then it's probably the sensor itself. But in most cases, it'll probably give you a readout as far as the check engine light and the OBD2 code is concerned. Also, you could have rough idle or a vibrating engine. And a lot of times that rough idle will be either at a red light or otherwise stopped. Then you might notice that the engine grinding or vibrating. When this happens, it means that the sensor is not monitoring the crankshaft's position, leading to vibrations that affect overall engine power, and the shaking could also interfere with the engine's tracking of mileage. You could also have reduced gas mileage, and that's because if your car's computer does not have accurate timing information for the crankshaft position sensor, the fuel injectors won't pump gas in the engine efficiently. The engine will use more gas than it needs to on short and long drive, reducing overall fuel economy. So if you guys think you might have a problem with the crankshaft position sensor, I'll tell you guys what. All right, you guys don't have to think about it. All you guys have to do is get an OBD2 scanner, or you guys go to AutoZone or Advanced Auto. The code for that sensor is specific. You don't even need to actually diagnose it, but there's a small chance where the signal from the sensor might be just off enough where it could cause issues. But that's a very, very rare occasion that it does that. It's not particularly a difficult part to swap out. It's not an expensive part. It's essentially a serviceable part. And depending on which car you have, you could either it's either on the side of the engine or behind the engine, but for the most part, it's not a hard thing to get to. Hopefully this has helped you guys out with any of the issues that you have. If you guys have any of your own personal experiences, definitely leave a comment in the comment section. Please subscribe, please give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Hope this has helped you guys out with your issues. Okay guys, take care.